The confessions continue, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I do want to be noticed. I particularly noticed this earlier this year at pastors' conference or synod. Like, I turn up to a new place, so the surroundings are a bit unfamiliar, and there's a big crowd of people there, and I can feel myself looking around for the people who know me and who are going to acknowledge me. And I admit that there are times when I do want some kind of honour. I find myself talking with the bishop, or the head of this, or the pastor who's famous for that. And some of those people genuinely are my friends, but there's also, I know within me, some small part of me that likes to mix with the important people. I think we all have the tendency. We often fear, if I don't look important, well, maybe I'm not. I recently watched a primary school basketball game, not yesterday, much improved by yesterday, but as I was watching this basketball game, I thought to myself, the first team that learns how to pass the ball is going to win this game. We all want to be the one who scores the basket, not the one who passes the ball, because it's the one who scores the basket that gets the glory. In my long ago youth, I remember I was a defender. And defenders in a soccer game don't get all the glory, do they? It's the strikers who score the goal and everyone celebrates. You don't get nearly as much celebration when all you did was tackle the guy who was going to score. We never completely grow out of this need to be the one who is acknowledged. We want to be acknowledged, we want to feel important, and we often try to do that, I think, by ranking ourselves against other people. Where are we in the pecking order? In Jesus' story, that exactly which couch am I going to sit on to represent how good I am? And I have to admit that also, like in the gospel reading today, it's easy for me to give to people who I know can or will repay it. I'm not the only one. We don't demand payments from our friends, but we do kind of expect, we don't require it, but we do expect that when we invite them for dinner, at some stage they'll invite us back again. When we give gifts to people, there's this kind of understanding in our society that one day you might get a gift back from that person. That's just how it works. And even the most helpful of people that really are working for the good of other people may nevertheless get upset if they feel that they're not properly thanked for it. People who give sacrificially for the sake of others and receive no word of thanks tend to get a little bit bitter about that. This everyday desire for recognition isn't just about dinners, or it's just not about presents. It's about a problem that exists in our heart. This way of thinking, as we adopt into it, it leaves us and creates restlessness and resentment and competitiveness. We compare ourselves to others. We worry about recognition. And then we can never really rest. Life becomes the constant struggle to make sure that we're acknowledged. We walk into the room and our antennae are immediately up for who's going to acknowledge me in this room. When I do something at work, I want people to say that I did a good thing at work. And just being asked even once to take a lower place for someone else can sometimes wipe out all the memories of the times when you were the important one. We can become resentful if people don't give us the honour we think we deserve, if they don't make a fuss, if they don't feed our self-worth. That's why people might get offended if you don't wave back at them in the shopping centre. In my past, I know that I have narrowly avoided, other people told me, but I narrowly avoided losing members from a church because they'd waved to me on the street and I hadn't seen them even, but I hadn't waved back, and they were so offended by that they were ready to leave the congregation. It's why we might feel jealous about the attention that other people receive. We see someone do our job or our thing and they do it better than we do, and then we've kind of got this jealousy for that person. I hate listening to really good preachers. Because about 50% of the time I just go, oh, this is really good. But on the other 50% of the time I go, oh, I'm so bad. But you knew that. In the end, life becomes a competition. We want to make sure that the honour goes to us, and that makes us less likely to give honour to other people. If I give someone else the top place, it means that I have to take a step back in the queue. And Australians have a particular cultural tendency with our tall poppy syndrome. And it happens really early on in school, like in grade 1 already. Kids are kind of pulling each other back, going, oh, don't be such a smarty pants. Shouldn't you celebrate someone being smart? But our tall poppy syndrome in Australia doesn't want anyone to rise above the rest of us. As adults, we might avoid seeing others succeed because it feels uncomfortable to see honour given to someone else. But, that problem of the heart is actually also about a deeper problem. Because seeking the honour from other people can lead us to treating ourselves as if we were a god. We treat ourselves as the most important thing, and then we expect other people to treat us as that most important thing. But as we push ourselves to the front, the reality is that we begin to push God to the sides. We place our position in the eyes of other people above God's will and God's way of life. At the very deepest level, this is actually a question of unbelief. We don't trust that God's goodness and grace are enough for us. We fail to see the honour that God gives us. We don't trust that we have what we need and therefore we're going to seek it elsewhere. In demanding honours from others, we fail to trust God. We put ourselves actually in God's place and we set ourselves against him. And this is why Jesus warns the people in the gospel reading today that everyone who exalts themselves will be humbled. Because in exalting ourselves in that way, we are fundamentally acting out of a lack of trust in God and in some way actually opposing God. But Jesus doesn't leave us with just a warning. Jesus offers another way. He turns our thinking on its head. He says we don't honour ourselves we don't win honour by lifting ourselves. We lift others because we are honoured. You see, Jesus didn't just teach humility, he lived it. Philippians chapter 2 tells us that he humbled himself, taking the form of a servant. Jesus, who is fully God, gave up his divine honour to become human. He served us as a human being, lived as one, died as one, so that we can live. He took the lowest place and died so that we could be lifted up to the highest place and have life with God. We hear Jesus say elsewhere in the Gospels, "Put on my yoke and learn from me," and this is what he says about himself, "For I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Jesus lived that way, not asserting himself over others, but serving for their benefit. He went without meals so that others could be fed with the word of God. He went without rest so that others could find rest for their souls. And of course, this is how he died. Going to the cross so that by his wounds we could be healed. Through his experience of rejection, we are accepted. On the cross, St. Paul says Jesus became poor so that we could be rich towards God. He died for us to live. His punishment set us free. He took our shame. He gave us his honour. And now we are called the children of God, and we are co-heirs with him of eternal blessing. Everything Jesus has as the Son of God is now shared with us as the children of God. Jesus became humble so that we can be honoured. God honours us. He values us. He promises us a place at his heavenly feast and a life that is close to him both now and in the future. We so often worry about having powerful friends, but the most powerful one of all is God himself, and God is our friend. Through Jesus, God's blessing is already ours. We have what we need. We are valuable. We are worthwhile. What other voice could possibly matter to us as much as that? Jesus, who has the name that is above every other name, honours us and calls us his friends, his brothers, his sisters, and co-heirs of his eternal inheritance. That changes things. Because of Jesus, we don't win honour by lifting ourselves up. Instead, we lift others up because we are already honoured. We are free to live God's way, giving ourselves to others because we know that we have enough. We can honour others gladly because we are honoured by God. Like the guests in the gospel reading today, we can take the lower place gladly. Our value doesn't depend on what others think or where we sit in the pecking order. God loves us and calls us his children. Like the hosts, we can invite people to come who can't pay us back. We ask them to share in what we have because we know that our needs are already provided for. God will look after us. We have the riches of heaven. Whatever we have in this world is already God's good gift to us, and that should make us generous in being able to share with others. You can go to the feast and not seek attention. You can serve other people and invite them to your feast without expecting anything in return. When we live like that, Jesus promises that we will receive greater honour from God. Those who live with God in the way of God are rewarded by God. To live humbly in the presence of other people, to serve generously for their benefit, is in the end a way to the greatest of honours. God gives us honour already so that we can live freely, but as we live freely, we gain more honour. Jesus says, "For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and the one who humbles himself will be exalted." He promises that when we give a feast or serve the poor, the crippled, the blind, the lame, or anyone who cannot repay us, we will be blessed. We will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous, even if not before then. God assures us that humility and generosity never leave us empty-handed. We don't win honour by lifting ourselves. We lift others because we are honoured. And even that then results in more honour. In Jesus' day, this way of living results in guests not pushing for the best seats, in hosts inviting the people who need it, not the people who can repay it. So what does it look like for us? Really, that's your question. People who are secure in their honour don't need to push to the front. They give credit at work. They celebrate their colleagues' achievements. When there are problems, the team acts and shares the responsibility, but when there's achievements, individuals get praised. We're happy to share the burden. We're happy to give the praise. Knowing God honours us helps us see that the church is for everyone. We can invite people that we think are the most unlikely candidates for God's feast, because we don't expect them to pay back or to contribute to it. But so what it means is that we know that God's invitation to the feast is for all, no matter whether they're special or unimportant or how deserving they might seem. And we can see this in our homes, in the choice of what to watch on television. I'll watch what you watch, and I'm happy to sit there with it because you're happy to see what you want to see. We might share a meal then with someone who would otherwise eat alone. Living like this, we don't just notice problems, we notice instead how we are able to serve. We're comfortable helping others. And we're comfortable helping others even if they don't know that we've helped them. Thanks are nice. Gratitude's great. But it's not required. Perhaps this week you can take a moment to think about how you can reach out to somebody who may be isolated. Reach out to someone who's isolated, not because it would benefit you to do so, but just because they need it. Perhaps you can bless someone who needs companionship or help, not because doing so will give you leverage, but because they need love. Imagine the difference we make as community. A church where people live and serve for the benefit of others. A family that notices who's missing and invites them in. A people who make a real difference in our community. We might still be overlooked by people, but we are known and honoured by Jesus. Our homes become places of honour and rest. Our groups put people first, and over time, the community would begin to notice the blessing of our presence with them. You see, God has made us special. We are honoured. And that enables us to treat other people as special. And in this world, that is special. We don't try to win honour by lifting ourselves. We live others because we are honoured. And then we are a church and a family that lives up to our mission statement. We are the place where we bring God's hope, heart and help to the world. Not because we try to honour ourselves, but because God has already honoured us.